Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Bilal. I'm Director ESG and Assurance at Crowe Ghazali. Today, thank you for Business Gateway and Heyman to give this as an opportunity for us to speak on this platform. And really, the topic is about ESG. As you can see, it's Oman Sustainability Week, and we are proudly representing ourselves in terms of ESG space. A little bit about background, but who are we and what are we doing here in front of you guys, is we are a global firm, just like any other firm over here. We are very much present in 140 countries at the moment and very much based in Oman. We have 100 employees over here with the space of two locations. We have our business line with audit, assurance, technology, cybersecurity, then taxation, and now ESG. Just in terms of this capabilities about ESG, it's really about reporting, giving assurance, helping clients with the decarbonization, helping supplier vendors for their assessment and keeping them up to date on the ESG platforms. In terms of our team, we are very much based in Oman. We have our office located over here in Muscat and Salalah, and we are very much based in Oman for around 30 years now. In terms of the team, we are very much over here. Our partner Carl Jackson, he has been here for around 15 years. Myself, I'm leading ESG at the moment at Crowe, and we have a team within experts. In terms of ESG, I'll give you a brief introduction. What is ESG all about? A lot of people have this concept, but let's go and just deep dive into what the definition is all about. Really, it's about sustainability. When I say sustainability, why is it important? Is to understand that companies need to produce their performance and operationally how they are doing well, just for the survival. What we have found that those companies which are doing good in ESG are the ones who will actually lead, or you will lag, or in terms of if you don't comply to ESG supporting, you will vanish. ESG, when it started, it actually started in 1987. The concept is not old. Sorry, it's very old, you can say. It started in 1987 when United Nations came up with their Sustainable Development Goals. You can see the graph that these colors will be very much prominent everywhere. You can see within the sustainability, Oman Sustainability Week, you will see these logos everywhere. So you don't need to remind yourself about these 17 goals. Really, these goals actually translate into 3. These are E, S, and G. E is very much about the climate, it's about the environment. Social, it's all about how we deal with people, how we deal with our people and those associated with us. Then governance comes, like what is the strategy, what is the board level thinking, what is the management thinking on, then policies, procedures. So in terms of ESG, you can say Oman is very much prominent into S and G, but now we are seeing more and more, they are becoming more prominent in E as well. Why ESG matters? It's because of the national priorities. You can see that Oman has signed the net zero agreement. They are with the Oman Vision 2040. So we can really see that the frameworks, the government and the ministries are actually refining them. Yeah. What is it doing in Oman? It actually started with the ministries actually pushing this agenda forward. Now with MSX, Muscat Stock Exchange, came up with their ESG guidelines in 2023. Then we saw that Central Bank of Oman actually came with the same one. Then obviously FSA and OIA actually pushing this agenda forward. We actually found and we talked to Financial Services Authority, FSA, and we think that Oman will be very much into compliance with ESG by 2029. So everyone in Oman, even the smaller companies, SMEs, will have to comply with these requirements. Why is it related to companies, and especially like very small companies? Like I'll give a moment to emphasize on the smaller companies. Like why is it important? There are multiple opportunities that when you're doing ESG, you can help your business in terms of access to capital. You can have proper risk management framework over there. You can mitigate your operational. You can showcase your operational resilience. It's all about brand and trust. That yes, previously when we were reporting on the financial reports, we were talking more about the revenue and the profitability. Now we are more talking about the operational stuff, like how are we handling business, how are we showcasing sustainability, and how can we survive in the near future. So it's something like it's not for a compliance sake only, that we keep on reporting and we just move ahead. It's really about the business resilience. Especially for the smaller entities and SMEs, what we feel is it's very important for them to understand ESG. It's because they can tap into markets which is unbelievable. They can compete with large entities as well in terms of SMEs. That's why this platform like Blue to Green framework is very important for them as well. We are partnering with them to help them support in ESG reporting. This platform is actually for the SMEs to be helpful. You know, this platform gives them an opportunity to compete with the large entities. Yeah? In terms of GHG, why are we talking about the suppliers and the smaller entities? Because they are the ones who are actually part of the value chain of greenhouse gases. Like when I say greenhouse gases, it's the carbon emissions. Because people are currently reporting on scope 1 and scope 2, and in a minute we will just see that how the industries in Oman are actually shaping in. But it's really about the scope 3, where these vendors and suppliers get registered, showcase their ESG compliance, and get the rating from this platform, this business gateway platform, and showcase that we can survive this, and we as an entity can help companies with their scope 3 value chain. In terms of guidelines, when I talked about it, it's the United Nations that actually pushed this agenda. It's not that it came someone got an idea. It's the United Nations that actually they built the framework for all the stock exchanges around the world that you should have an ESG unified reporting tool, where all the stock exchanges, the companies registered with them can showcase and just help them with their reports. When I say stock exchanges, it's the unified stock exchanges. Even in the GCC market, you will see the same kind of principles that have been applied throughout, whether it's Abu Dhabi, whether it's Dubai, whether it's Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain. Oman, why is it special? Because Oman is the only country, the first country I will say, that made it mandated for ESG reporting for listed entities. So if you see all around listed entities over there, they are the actual ones who have actually reported twice now, and it's mandated. In terms of stock exchange guidelines, when I say ESG reporting, it's tough, so we need a framework out there. So MSX came up with their guidelines in 2024, where they started reporting and actually made it mandated for the entities to actually look after it. What is the guidelines is all about? It's all about their performance. It's about their historical performance of their ESG matrices. So they have a unified ESG matrices for all the entities, where it is easy for companies to compare. Even with the business gateway, you can see that they have their own matrices for the SMEs as well, where it will help them. If you start using that platform, it will help you achieve those ESG ratings faster. And that's the first step towards ESG. Reporting. In terms of stakeholders, that's why ESG is important, is to understand your stakeholders. Like what is important to them. You can have different stakeholders in terms of customers, suppliers, your regulators, your shareholders, your employees. Those you need to first understand that why am I doing this? What is sustainability for me? So every company has their own definition of sustainability. It's regarding the target audience, like who they want to report, who they want to achieve this for. Just on ESG compliance, like I said, MSX made it mandated for companies. Now we will move on, like we all see that, seeing is believing, that how many companies have actually reported on their matrices. Just in terms of 2024, when it actually started, you can see that 57% of the companies actually reported within the deadline. So we saw a regulatory push from MSX, and that companies have started to report on. Because of the local content, everyone started pushing the Arabic compliance as well. In terms of 25, we see that it has been upscaled. Not many companies are shying away from their ESG reporting, and it's all made publicly available. Documents are available, and the reports are available on the ESG MSX portal. As you can see that from last to this year, that the reporting has actually gone up. Now 70% of the companies are actually complying in terms of ESG. In terms of ESG reporting industry-wide, we can see that many companies are reporting on their carbon emissions. So you can see 100% compliance on Scope 1 and Scope 2. Scope 1 is really about their own emissions. Scope 2 is really about electricity. But they are very much lacking in the Scope 3. Why? Because it's made it optional for MSX right now. This is why I think for SMEs or smaller entities who want to get themselves registered as a supplier and vendor, Scope 3 is very much important. Because companies are looking for companies the companies who actually want to work with those companies which are compliant in ESG practices. So you become a Scope 3, a value chain for someone. In terms of social, you can see that when I say Oman is not shying away from anything which is socially related. They have women in senior positions. They report on their gender perspectives and gender pay ratios. Governance, obviously, because some of the things are made it optional, the governance, there are actually women on board which help them with the decision making. External assurance, because we are very much proudly giving assurance on their ESG practices, but it's not very mandated. That's why it's not there in the compliance stage. Just in terms of the industry-wide, you can see that energy and oil and gas are dominant in the carbon emissions. You can see their graph, and in terms of then manufacturing and then finance houses, because really their emissions are very low because they're working from the branches. Yeah. In terms of Scope 2, again, energy and oil and gas are the most prominent one. That's why I think we are having this sustainability week as well, that energy companies are actually showcasing how they can survive, how they can cope up with carbon emissions regulations. In terms of social, like what is the gender pay gap between male and female, industry-wide as well, we see most companies are shying away from publishing this data, but it's a very important metrics for the companies to evaluate their performance across SNG. In terms of compliance of policies and procedures, child labor, non-discrimination, although Oman is very much strict on child and forced labor, a lot of companies are showcasing this with a separate agenda and a separate policy. Governance, again, like a woman on board, it's very special for women to be on the senior roles and key decision making. In terms of the local compliance, you can see manufacturing industry have a lot of women on the board, particularly not in comparison with finance and energy sector. Just in terms of reporting, when we say that 2024 was there, then 25 came, and now we see that local enhancements of frameworks have been coming in. We feel that many companies can still develop their ESG framework around, and for the suppliers and vendor it's very important, especially for the SME sector, that you need to start somewhere, otherwise you will lack and you will disappear. So it's very important for the smaller entities to start reporting what they actually have, then making strategy and moving forward. When I say future of reporting in Oman, it's picking up pace. We say Muscat Stock Exchange, OIA. Now FSA is coming in with very, very hard and fast rules with international compliance with IFRS reporting. And you see why is IFRS reported or adopted by Oman is because it is comparable with 140 countries out there. So in terms of just whoever is not complying is I think the US and China. That's very much about ESG landscape in Oman. We as Crowe have actually helped a lot of companies out there in the first 2 years. We have actually done a couple of reports for it's published out there at MSX. And we are picking up more and more on the ESG reporting, and especially when we are having this partnership with Blue to Green framework. It actually helps. We are actually helping the smaller entities. You don't need to comply with MSX. You don't need to comply with the GRI, or you don't need to comply with IFRS international frameworks. You just need to comply to yourself. You need to be on that platform where you can say that we can easily help each other, identify the opportunities through this platform, and really work yourself up and compete against the larger entities. Just in terms of reports, if you want to have a grasp of these reports, it's publicly available on MSX as well. We have done a lot. We couldn't fit this into one slide, but we have done a lot of reports this year. In terms of training, we provide capacity building as well. So we are free to speak to us. We are hanging around with the business gateway and Heyman and his team. So this is very much from our side. So thank you all for listening and enjoy your time. Thank you.